it's not your imagination the realities of the situation are such that they are touching your deepest fears.
Yeah.
And you've called that in.
Yeah. It's very real.
Yeah. That's beautiful. That's extremely fucking brave.
Thanks.
It really is. Not everybody's up to run the full range with that level of sincerity.
I almost need it. I feel like that's why I'm attracted to poly relationships, because it's like, I almost need a ridiculous level of complexity in order to like feel like I can fully bring myself. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm. It does. And as someone who like really gets that on an intellectual level, I would suggest that monogamy has an equal complexity.
In some ways, you have to deal with boredom, and that's a thing. That's like
what's under that, and that's like what is really emerging through what I'm seeing as sameness, and how much do I have to see it as sameness to give myself a sense of safety? Yeah. How much am I denying the evolution of this other person in the name of my own comfort?
Yeah.
And how much is boredom a balm that's in my imagination and is not this person's reality at all?
Yeah. Yeah. That's why I'm somewhere in the middle, really. Mm-hmm. I'm like in the middle of like, I am willing to relate to people who are like openly relating to other people. And I'm willing to openly relate with other people. And I'm also willing to like go through those periods of time where it's like just you and another person, or it's just you and you have to like still show up fully. Like that's also challenging. And that's something that like, I realized that poly is not a cure for boredom. That's not what it's supposed to be for. Mm-hmm. Like it does offer that as like a shiny, a shiny promise. And that's initially why I was attracted to it. But like being in monogamous relationships as a poly person also challenges you to like see the gift in monogamy and not like blame monogamy as a structure for certain things.
Right. Even though it is part of the conditioning too. And I think that part needs to be addressed. But then I think so does thinking of yourself as a poly person or a monogamous person. To me, it's like, what level of devotion, what is the tone of devotion that I'm prepared to offer at this time?
Yeah.
You know, that's part of it for me too.
Oh yeah. That's interesting. So I'm still very young too. So it's like, things change. Things absolutely change. Yeah. Anytime I like to say I'm XYZ person, I immediately am like, I probably won't be for my whole life. You know?
No. Yes.
That's a whole other conversation.
That is a whole other conversation.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness. All right. Let's get to your question. Let's take as long as we need to settle into that hara, breathe deep into the hara, and find where that question wants to pop out of. Like that question that's like lurking behind the belly button.
Yeah, it's like, how do I honor my desire? Is the question that comes up. How do I honor my desire by like allowing myself to have what I want?
So you have rebirth into refuge. Rebirth and refuge. Hexagram 24 into hexagram 36. Mm-hmm. So hexagram 24 is like that moment after winter solstice when the day just starts to get longer. And refuge is like that place where you can see out, but others can't see in. So like there's a sense in both of these of like an overall sense of becoming that requires protection. so that like that you're free to undergo the transformation in its completeness without getting distracted by external validation or even like thoughts of like previous identities like impinging on the transformation. So 24. This is the moment before emergence. You're still in that hypnagogic space between waking and dreaming when you are both in the world and in the womb. Emerge reborn as you. Winter solstice, new light stokes the fertile dark. You're being summoned from rest like the trees. Shed your layers to naked limbs and feel it on your skin. The way is lit again. The new cycle begins. Like Persephone, you're being summoned by your mother on an annual pilgrimage out of the underworld. Hades is releasing his grip on her, pomegranate in hand, that juicy little womb so full, ripe, and protected. Persephone prepares to be carried by spring. What are you returning to, and what are you leaving behind? Will you remember the womb? Are you ready for the turning of the light? What dead things do you still have to hand over to winter? Can you already hear the subterranean hum of spring? Can you let the new light all the way in? Feed on the slender light like a birch. Bask, photosynthesize. But remember, the dark is not a force to struggle with. Some things only grow under the moon. Rest is fertile. Notice when to feed and when to rest. How does the new light meet the spark under your skin? This is a time to get naked and be slowly penetrated, a little more each day. The new year devours winter as winter devoured the hemisphere. Respect the cycles. We're not fully in the light yet, but our foot is raised, a precipice. We're lit atop the 100-foot pole, surrounded by empty, fizzing space. Tickled, beckoned, summoned. Ready or not, we are here. Begin again. More mature than last time. More open, ready, willing. The territory is felt and the map is discarded. It's time to draw a new map together. So that's 24. Wow. And that's the primary tone of your question, of the situation, of like the causes and conditions that are coalescing into your question.
Yeah.
And so your transforming line is at 3. So you have a transforming line at 3. Do you keep putting on your old skin, returning to an old worn out identity, going back to old habits and feeling how they no longer fit can be valuable up to a point. Continuing to do this is a form of squandering your life force, and I don't have to tell you that's not a good use of your energy. Be where your feet are. The old comforts are no longer comfortable no matter how much you wish. Feel into the difference between following comfort and following ease. Ease can feel uncertain, but that's no reason to resist it. Are you at ease with ease? Notice rigid old habits. Let them go. So like allowing ease. Whew.
That's a big one. That's huge for me right now.
Yeah. Following comfort, like those old patterns, like you're saying, like sometimes the things that are painful are weirdly more comfortable.
Yeah.
And following, like in a way, like that's like following comfort, and following ease is being like, okay, wow, I actually don't need to let polarity degenerate into conflict to feel lit.
Yeah.
You know? Oh, that one took me a long time.